Well, it's a great pleasure to be here, ladies and gentlemen, on this whistle-stop tour to Milton Keynes. When we arranged this, I wasn't aware that I would have to be back in the House of Commons leading for the opposition on a debate this afternoon. Such is the parliamentary timetable. You don't know. We're having a debate on social mobility this afternoon. I'm winding up for the opposition. If you're winding up, you've got to be there at the beginning. Even more strangely, my team, or David Willett's team, I should say, has only taken on social mobility in the last week. David Cameron said, I want, in addition to your other responsibilities, you to lead on social mobility. So not only didn't we know about the debate, we didn't know we had responsibility for social mobility. Nevertheless, it's something which David Willett has had a long-standing interest in and has written about and spoken about, as have I. So thank you very much for inviting me to be here today and for tolerating my tight timetable. John Ruskin, who some of you who follow my career closely, and I'm sure all of you actually follow my career immensely closely, will know is a hero of mine, wrote that education is the leading of human souls to what is best and making what is best out of them. But even before this recession began to bite, we were failing to help too many people to do their best and to be the best that they could be. I believe that if we want to expand opportunity, to build a socially mobile, cohesive and just Britain, we need to broaden access to education throughout people's lives. I, like you, I imagine, believe in the empowering effect of education, that education changes lives. I have no doubt, actually, that that ambition is widely shared. It's certainly not a partisan point to make. But the uncomfortable truth is that despite the fact that it would have been the stated aim of most governments over the last 50 years, we have not done enough to expand opportunity to advanced skills. Indeed, the expansion of higher education over my lifetime, and I know it's hard to believe, but I'm 50, you're thinking, how can that callow youth possibly be 50? But I am. That expansion has served to cement social division rather than extend opportunity across the whole of society. Opportunity for some has not led to opportunity for all. And you will know that in 2005, the Sutton Trust found that people born in 1970 were less likely to have moved between social classes than those born in the year of my birth, 1958. The mathematicians would have already worked out that that was the year of my birth, from what I said earlier. Behind this change has been a rise in educational inequality. Young people from the poorest income groups increased their graduation rate by just 3 percentage points between 1981 and the late 1990s. And that compares with the rise of 26% for those from the richest 20% of families. The clear conclusion reached by the authors of that Sutton Trust report was that, quote, the expansion of higher education in the United Kingdom has benefited those from richer backgrounds far more than poorer young people. And it's still more dispiriting, ladies and gentlemen, that despite a raft of public policy measures and a deluge of spin, a recent Cabinet Office report was forced to conclude that, quote, broadly, social mobility is no greater or less since 1970. I'm not sure about the grammar of that, but I did quote it precisely. And in colleges and universities, the workplace and communities, there has been a shocking decline in access to education and training. Enrollments at FE colleges have fallen. There are now almost 1 million fewer learners in FE than there were in 1997. And there's been no improvement in access to high-quality training in the workplace. There are fewer people in advanced apprenticeships, the equivalent of all apprenticeships in countries like Germany, down from 130,000 in 1999-2000 to 97,000 in 2006-07. And the number of young people starting an apprenticeship at all levels is now in decline. And perhaps most shockingly of all, while the economy was still growing, the number of young people not in any kind of education, employment or training actually rose. In the last 5 years, nearly 100,000 has been added to the number of NEETs, almost 200,000 since the turn of the decade. This is perhaps the greatest indictment of policy over the last 10 years, that the number of young people, this forgotten generation of young people that are effectively detached economically and therefore detached socially, whose opportunities are blighted, has grown. These are broken lives, shattered dreams, and each one is a tragedy. And it is a moral duty, in my judgment of government, quite apart from dealing with the economic opportunity cost that that represents, to have policies to address that fundamental failure. So if we failed to expand opportunity when the economy was booming, how can we possibly do so when 100,000 people are losing their jobs every month? Well, I believe that government can make a difference, can change people's lives for the better. I don't share the liberal view that government, the liberal economic view, that government can step back and ignore these things. I think public policy, I think governments at local and national level have a responsibility, a duty, and a proper purpose in involving themselves in these matters and trying to influence them. Governments lay the foundations for a stronger, broader-based economy in the future, or they should. To do that, we must give people the opportunity to study and acquire new skills, and we must give them the wherewithal to do so. It means rethinking the way we conceive of study. Instead of forcing people to fit the education system, we must make the education and training system fit people's lives. We will not broaden access to higher education so long as we think that the full-time 3-year university degree is the only or the best way to study. We will not expand access to learning in the workplace until we enable colleges and other providers to deliver the training that employers actually need. And we will not chart an open and attractive path into learning for those who have been failed by the system in the past if we only think in terms of accredited courses. Woody Allen, you didn't expect to hear from him today, once said that 80% of success is showing up. But people also need to know where they should go. And that's why it's so important that we provide people with information they need to decide what, when, how to study. We have been poor at doing that in the past. And that, again, has exacerbated the problems of the underrepresented groups in higher education. The wherewithal that I described earlier is disproportionately found amongst those whose parents, whose social group are already engaged in advanced study. We should deliver higher education at a place, at a time, and at a pace that meets people's needs.